What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Twin Sons Podcast, episode 70. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Josh. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing pretty well. I am excited for spoiler season again.
Again, right? It's like I just woke up again, and it's freaking spoiler season. It's crazy. So we had episode 69 last week. We got to sit down with Riot G Major again for the third time, which was really awesome. He's super insightful. I love talking to him. He really knows the league characters so well. The way he talks about the kits of actually bringing those champions in and things like that. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly suggest just ignoring the parts where we talk and listening to him. But he's a smart man. But Josh, this week we got a couple new cards.
We got some spiciness, some abs and spiciness.
There's a lot of abs. There's a ton of abs. Um, I'm overall shocked. So we'll talk about the whole event in a little bit, and we're gonna dive into two new decks here from what we've been playing so far because it's a weird. Normally this episode for us would have been like, let's talk about all the new cards. Like, there wasn't a ton of new cards, but there was a decent amount that were just added. Right, 3 new champs were just added into the game. An insanely large balance patch, right? 47 changes were added into the game. So there was a ton to talk about and, actually make decks with and stuff. So we're going to try to cover a little bit of that, but we have to talk about all the new cards. So we're going to try to dive into that right after. But I guess let's just start by, talking about some of the new decks. And for this, I'm going to be using RuneterraCCG.com to highlight these decks where we have them on there. As always, we're brought to you by those guys. They're, our sponsor. They're incredible. If you're checking out any sites for deck building purposes, I highly recommend their deck builder. Not only are the colors the best, but it's the best for searching, for building decks. It's the easiest and most usable, in my opinion, by far. And they have a really handsome writer named Shane. He just wrote some Deck of the Day articles highlighting some pretty sweet decks from the community. And as well, more smart writers like Agigas, he's actually back. He updated his entire tier list for the meta and also broke down Viego and theory crafted with him already. And you can build with all the brand new cards. I'm talking about, when I say brand new cards, Josh, I think Plague and Rek'Sai. No, but I'm actually talking about Akshan
Brand new
and
cards.
Viego. Yeah, brand new. The cards that aren't out yet, you can build with them on that site.
Not 2 week old cards,
No, they're old. They're last week's news. Now we're talking about Viego in action. No, all right. So let's dive in first. Josh, I'm gonna put your deck up on screen, and if you want to read through for the podcast listeners your list, if you don't mind, and we can chat. Or do you need me to read through it, or do you have it on hand?
I um
I can read through it for you if you want. I'll read through it for you. So I'm gonna throw it up right now. So Josh's deck here is TF and Ezreal. Because why, Josh? Because Bilgewater's back. Is that why?
yeah, of course it is, but I can read through it. I got it.
All right, good.
Okay, so my favorite champ, well, it was a weird relationship, a love-hate relationship, but my favorite champ to play with is by far Ezreal. I hated him, loved him, didn't want him to get changed, and then Karma broke him, and I still love him, but he's still a little bit harder to use. But so we have 3 Ezreal, we have 3 TFs, going back to, either everyone's most hated or most loved champs. I love both of them. But my followers, we have 3 Pool Sharks, we have 3 Ballistic Bots, we have 3 Dreadweight Deckhands, we have 2 Fortune Croakers, 3 Zaps, Spells, 2 Thermos, 3 Line 'em Ups, 3 Make It Rain, so that combo's nasty, 3 Mystics, 3 Pick a Cards, 1 Rummage, 3 Time Tricks, and 2 Static Shocks. This list is all about controlling the board and then, finishing with either TF or Ezreal, just, controlling the board or controlling the Nexus health. It works pretty well when Lurk doesn't high roll onto you. If you're playing Lurk constantly, if they high roll, you will lose just because you don't have enough spells to keep up with their nonsense. And when they get the big, heavy health hitters out there, you can't do much. But yeah, so basically it's just keeping your hand fresh, always keeping spells in your hand. Time Trick does an amazing job of that. Rummage, I think, is worth a one of because it's such a good draw tool still. Pick a card with TF is always great. I was actually having an issue. I don't know if I was getting unlucky or what, but 3 pick a cards was actually killing my hand. So I actually put it down to 2 and picked up a Harpoon to try and help with the Lurk decks. But it's pretty fun. When it goes off, it is extremely fun to play with. Just constantly spells and refreshing your hand with cards. So I've had a good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a list that deserves to get re-looked at right now, right? I mean, TF Ezreal used to be popular. We've seen tons of changes to this deck since. I mean, a lot of these cards have been touched in some way, including, you have Rummage, but on top of that, you have Twisted Fate and Ezreal both receiving nerfs, probably from back when they were the most popular, at least this deck. They've both since seemed, and Ezreal's you could consider a nerf, but it's kind of like a rework as well. It's just a little bit different how he functions. Um, but that being said, they've also received some very interesting new cards slash buffs right now. I mean, Line 'em Up is a very spicy card. Spoiler alert, it's in the deck I'm going to highlight as well, so it's super fun. And Make It Rain being at 2 mana literally brings Bilgewater back into a very interesting, region that you can use for a lot of different things, and it just gives them this early clear power that's super good. So have you been using Line 'em Up with mostly Make It Rain here? Because it's pretty good with Twisted Fate's red card too, right?
Yeah, that's actually what I was gonna say. So line them up with a red card, line them up with Ezreal and a Mystic Shot to do 4 damage to the Nexus.
Yeah.
Uh, the line them up has a lot of uses. That's why I kept it as a 3 of. There could be an argument to bring it to a 2 of, but it just like enables so many, like a Static Shock doing 2 and 2, Make
Yeah.
It Rain doing 2 across the board, red card doing 2 across the board. It just has a ton of uses with that many spells or removal spells. So
Yeah, I was the guy who rated that card for Runeterra CCG, and I think I put it at like a 2.5. Their scale is like 1 to 5, and it's more about, how defining it's going to be. Is it going to be like a playable card? Is it going to be unplayable? Is it going to be in every archetype? But I'm starting to think like, wow, if you're playing Bilge and if you have like TF or Misfortune, and you're running Make It Rain, just Make It Rain, even without any other spells, you probably want to run at least 2 of these cards. Like Line 'em Up is super good.
yeah, it is. The only thing that I don't think it's made it in is Pirate Aggro, but that's just because it loses tempo for them.
Yeah,
So if you're not running Pirate Aggro, if you're running more of the mid-range build,
yeah.
then I think you're usually running Swain or you're running some type of MF Scouts list. I feel like it could definitely fit in somewhere, like just with Make It Rain, and like Shane said, it just can clear a whole board really early. So
Yeah, it is super strong. I think it's, I think a lot of people underrated it just based on, yeah, you get the one cost slow spell to then get to attack, one thing for 1 damage. And okay, yeah, you got your keg from the first portion of Line 'em Up, and now you can do 2 damage. But now, like you said, you're really pairing it with, bigger AoE damage. Like Static Shock's a great one. I didn't even see it first in this list, so it's super solid that way. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to check out this list, I'll definitely have the links to both Josh and I's deck that we're highlighting in the description below, or in the YouTube video if you're in that as well. But I mean, I think more than anything, TF Ezreal deserves to be relooked at. I didn't even mention Time Trick. You also put that in there, but it's Rummage got nerfed, but Time Trick's a really solid option for P and Z. It's just a base draw card, even if you're not playing Predict.
yeah, that's probably one of my favorite cards at the release. It's a straight tutor to what you need in the moment. Obviously there's a chance that you don't get what you need, but just say you need a Mystic Shot to survive, and then it's like, oh, you have like 1 in 20 chance with your predicts to just draw it, and it's like, okay, I know it's a 2 mana, but it's a
Yeah.
draw, it's a tutor, and you can survive to either win the game or push on. And it has happened a decent amount where it's like, I have a line 'em up. I need to get a Mystic Shot to just deal damage to the Nexus so I can kill them, and it's happened multiple times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean also it's also a draw card for Twist of Fate too. So yeah, it does count
yep.
for his level up now. Yeah, if you guys are interested, definitely check this list out. It is super super fun. I mean, it's TF Ezreal is always a fun time, and it's got some new tricks, and it has some old revisited buffed up tricks. So I'm gonna jump into mine real quick if that's all right, and we're gonna go right into it. So mine is, I still have yours on the list or on the screen. So mine is actually also using Bilgewater and Line 'em Up and Make It Rain. Shocker, Josh. So I'm going to read through what we have here for the podcast listeners if you're not on video. So we have 3 Misfortune and 3 Renekton, 3 Crackshot Corsair, 3 Hired Guns, 3 Rockhoppers, 3 Merciless Hunters, 2 Island Navigators. We have 3 Zap Sprayfins, 3 Rampaging Bakai, 2 Razor Scale Hunter, and 2 The Siren. On top of that, for spells, We have 3 the list. The list is honestly the whole point of this deck, if I'm being perfectly honest. Then we have 3 line 'em up, 3 make it rain, and 1 rite of negation. So overall, the deck is just super fun and crazy, and it has just a ton of going for it. I mean, like I said, the list is really what we're going for here. And what it does essentially is, I can read it for you guys. It's grant an enemy vulnerable. If it's already vulnerable, the strongest ally starts a free attack challenging it. So this list is just, it's super weird. And I'm also highlighting it on a, flashback to the video, I'm highlighting it on a deck of the day in like 2 days. I did a little, it's like a 500 word. It's not as deep as like a, a really large deck guide that we've done before on Runeterra CCG, but it's a shorter one. It should be up in the next day or two. But it's just like this really funny list that essentially it's a mid-range list, but with like a solid amount of combo-y feel to it, because you're really trying to just get free attacks, and you're trying to do that with both scouts and the list. So you have multiple scouts, and you're trying to combine both of those things with the vulnerable keyword, which we have a ton of. I mean, we have Rockhopper, Merciless Hunter, we have Hired Gun. The list itself gives vulnerable as well. So there's some crazy options here to like actually put vulnerable out and then just get some wild attacks with Scout, but then also, just using the list to get free attacks. And the best thing, obviously, is the list with Renekton, right? So you get a free attack with Renekton. He attacks, he gets +2/+1. You get another attack when he actually attacks. You can challenge another thing. He gets +2/+1. So he just gets like super thick and levels up really quick, normally in like 1 turn, which is pretty nuts. So I think it's pretty cool. And like Nightwing's actually saying in chat, he's seen versions of this with Sivir, and that's a really good idea too. You have the quick attack on her, so it's really sweet with the list and her, because you can just get free trades then, which is good. But like you were saying, Josh, line 'em up has become like one of the most versatile cards, and yeah, it's great with Make It Rain, but one of the spiciest things I've seen with it is MF, because you're attacking. They declare blockers, and they think they're going to take 1 damage everywhere, and then you burst speed a keg out with line 'em up, and all of a sudden MF's ability is doing 2 to the whole board. So now every block that they think, like, all right, this guy's going to have 1 health left, he can trade up into 3. This guy is going to live with 2 health. All of a sudden, their math is all shot because a keg came out of your hand.
Yeah, it has a nice, like, I think it has a very like sneak potential, or yeah, that surprise potential that people didn't account for when they first saw the card, and it just can, once you get favorable trades and they're like blocking things that they wouldn't normally block.
Yeah.
I think you just get your value instantly, and it could probably just swing the whole game.
Yeah, I agree. This deck is something that I've like really been tempering with the past couple days, and I've been making like drastic changes. Like, I don't know if any of these followers are the right call. Like, honestly, I've tried so many different ones. I end it with 2 of the Siren, for God's sakes, but like the Sirens, it's so, you really need, this deck is very champion reliant, so you do need MF or Renekton. So it really does help to get those. The Razor Scale, I will say, is a good choice. I think this is his best. I put, Josh, I put this man in every deck.
Yes, every Bilgewater deck.
I love the Razor Scale.
You can guarantee that there is a Razor Scale in there.
But he's good in this one, and I will actually say I wasn't sure about Rampaging Bakai when I first put him in there, but with like line him up, Make It Rain, and MF and all the vulnerable, we're getting 5 slays by turn, or 4 slays by turn 5 almost every single game, unless they're playing like no units. But if they're playing a deck that is playing at all, like any units, you should kill 4 things, and then the Bakai gets turned on right then, and then just has a nice direct removal. He normally survives the strike back, he kills a champion, something like that, and then you have another unit with Overwhelm to attack, which just goes super great with all the vulnerable and MF's damage and everything. So it's a really fun list. I need to go back and edit it more and keep tinkering with it, because it felt like there's a lot of potential, but like it is a little bit champ reliant right now, so maybe I need to switch out some units and kind of get some more spell synergy or something. I'm not sure, but it's one of the more fun, like when it goes off, when Renekton is just like hunting somebody down. It's so much fun, man.
Yeah, I mean it looks super fun, especially with 2 attacks with Renekton in a turn. I was like, that's leveling, like that's probably one of the most efficient ways I've seen to level him.
Yeah.
And yeah, the pairing him with the list. One thing is, have you tried changing followers for like Preservarium or anything, just getting a little bit more draw,
Yeah,
maybe.
I probably do need something along those lines. I probably just need to like drop the island navigators or something along those lines, and just put in like two of those. See, I've even tried like the exhaust and the ruthless predator, like more vulnerable access, but I think I have enough units that do it. I mean, I have 4 units that apply vulnerable, which is kind of
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, you don't want to overkill it with the.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you could overkill it with vulnerable, but at some point you don't need that
yeah.
much.
It becomes a little awkward when like they're not playing a whole lot of units, and I'm like, oh, I can do whatever I want with your board, but it's just kind of awkward now.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I need to put a little more draw, a little more, and just flex around some spots. But yeah, it's a super fun list, and
Yeah, it looks super fun.
it's pretty wild. I definitely need to stick with it a little bit longer and play a couple more games with it. But we had to include that at least a little bit because, like I said, we just got like a crazy, and the fact that both of these decks right now feel like relatively viable. And we're both like playing in like silver or gold or whatever. Like we both dropped down because we haven't climbed at all. Because who wants to freaking play in the last meta? Everyone was pretty upset about the last meta. But we're playing now, and they both see. I'm playing against real decks, not like I'm playing jank and stuff, and everything seems pretty viable. And the fact that these things are viable is so exciting. And on a normal week after an expansion, we would just be talking about everything we're playing. But this time around, they decided to release a metric buttload, as I would say, new cards. So I think we have to discuss those.
Yes, yes, this is crazy. I feel like we're just talking about new cards like 4 weeks in a row now.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, we pretty much have been, yeah, because
Kind of insane.
they've been just teasing them along. So this is the teased Ruination event, like a long time ago, probably 2 months ago or so, maybe even three. There was a screenshot of someone who put us on Twitter, but it was really just in the calendar when you opened up Runeterra, but it just kind of blew up on Twitter a little bit because they zoomed in and it said July 14th, and it just had the Ruination art on it, and it said, upcoming event. And we also knew Steve Rubin, the live design lead, also the guy who brought you this most recent patch. He said he's the guy who designed Aphelios as well. He's started in game design. He said he designed this champion expansion coming up. We all just assumed that it was going to be one champion because that's how Aphelios worked. There's already two, and the expansion comes out in 7 days from now. And they said they're revealing stuff as they go. We don't know. I mean, I'm guessing there has to be at least three at this point.
It really seems like it, which is crazy to me. It's like, I guess this is why we weren't getting patches, like big patches for a while,
Makes
because they
sense.
are just throwing all the patches in one, all the new cards in one. They're just like, they're gonna just have to struggle for a couple months. They're gonna hate us. People are still gonna play though. People are still gonna like metas, and
But come
then they're just like,
July,
yes, they're just hanging there for a little bit, and
yeah,
just like constant stuff flying at us. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, honestly, and it's kind of bad because I love the deck build, and
yeah.
I see these new cards, and I'm instantly like, I need the deck build with that, and it's like I want to wait for them.
Yeah, and then you end up deck building with stuff that just got reverted, like me, like make it rain and stuff. And we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, there it is a deck builder's paradise right now. There's so much available, and like you said, it makes total sense. I mean, the live design lead was designing a champion expansion that's as big as the freaking last expansion. It's 3 champs. Most likely, I don't know if it's 3 champs. I'm just saying it does appear like it's going to be with 7 days left of spoilers, and that we got Viego and Akshan back to back. I would be very surprised if there's not another champ coming.
Yeah, I mean, the way so the like Viego was announced yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Action is announced today. It's like, do they announce another two, like another Ruination and another Sentinel of Light? Like,
That'd be
could
cool.
they possibly do that, or is there
Yeah.
like, because they're going for this, it's obviously revolving around the Ruination. So it's like, do they just jam pack us with a bunch of followers? Do they
Yeah.
give us another like big champion in, I guess what you call it, the lore? Like,
Yeah.
do we get our first champion that's not in league? Like, I don't like, is this all going to be a card? I don't even know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's so the event for those who don't know is based around the Ruination. I think they're calling it the Sentinels of Light though is going to be the name of the event, and it is a cross game event like they did before with Spirit Blossom. which was in League and also in TFT and things. This one's also in Valorant, which is kind of funny because Valorant isn't, it's a Riot game, it's not a League of Legends based game, but there are going to be Ruination guns in Valorant if you play Valorant. And so if you're interested in those, yeah, check those out. But we have two champions, like you said, Viego, who is the Ruined King, who is coming and bringing this ruination to all these other places and essentially ruining known cards, which is so sweet for us because we get to see like second versions of cards that we already know, but now they're like possessed and effed up by Viego, which is sweet. And then on the flip side of that, we have Akshan. So Akshan was revealed today. He's in Shurima. He's a Sentinel of Light, this defender for that. And one of the cool things is, and also if you were confused on Twitter today like I was, normally Play Runeterra releases everything at 12 p.m. EST or 9 a.m. PST. Well, Akshan released an hour early today, but
Yeah.
he released in League and Runeterra at the same time. So they revealed those videos. So it seems like they were just kind of like, we're going to go on League schedule for this one. League wants to release at 11. We're going to do that. And this is the first time they've ever done that. I mean, Akshan is going to be in Legends of Runeterra before he's in League of Legends, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
it is pretty awesome, which I'm glad that they are at least expanding their space to that. I assume that they could do that at some point, like even
Yeah,
have champions that aren't League of Legends champions. Um,
right.
yeah, and with a card, like I was saying last week, with like how well like Echo feels like this time traveling kid. I feel like with cards you could just kind of express a champion or
Yeah,
like an archetype that you want to, but like almost better than League. So I'm glad that they took action. Not even, I mean, they probably saw his kit at some point in League, but they don't know the finished
right.
product just yet. And they just were like, we see this, we see his lore, we see what he's like
Yeah.
his visuals, and we're gonna make cards around him.
Yeah, and that's even what Ruben was saying. He tweeted out talking about Viego, saying like, yeah, he had the design, Viego mostly around his lore, right? I mean, he isn't like, I don't play Viego in League, but I know his kit in this isn't the same. He does some crazy stuff in League, and in this, it's not identical to that. This is more of like the lore of essentially this Rune King, and his level up version has this insane like actual payoff that's just stealing an ally or an enemy every single turn, which is crazy. And yeah, he just seems really nuts as far as what he designed him on. And then Akshan, yeah, like you said, I'm sure they saw internal things, but yeah, I mean, he was being worked on for lore for a long time as well as League. It's not like they
Yeah.
just started working on this like a week or two ago. Like Akshan's been worked on for a while now.
And with his kit, I think that there was probably a lot of iterations
Oh
because
yeah.
he is complicated.
He is, yes, he has a calculus problem. All right, so we can just start jumping through some of these cards, and we'll start. We're just going to start all the way back. We're going to go a little bit quicker because we have, already 25-ish minutes into this. So we're going to go through some of the cards that aren't the champs, just a little bit faster than the rest, but let's jump over. And this first one I have to spend some time on. I mean, it's Ruined Rex, dude. We got an actual Riptide Rex, but now ruined, and he's a freaking Death Shark with cannons. It's amazing. He's a 5-drop 3/3, so weak stats. He has a play skill, cast Cannon Barrage on randomly targeted enemies for each card you've drawn this round up to 5 times. So essentially he is like Riptide Rex, but he gets a max of 5 cannon shots. Doesn't require the plunder, it's just based around how many cards you drew. I mean, dude, the slot bot just got buffed. Is it happening?
Yeah, I mean I feel like they're really pushing the card draw in Bilgewater, and
Yeah.
they're really trying to give support to this archetype. I mean, I don't know how competitive Slotbot and Ruin Rex will be together. It might be more of like meme but can win games kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I love the art. I like just I love being able to build around like, oh, turn 4 play pick a cards, turn 5 throw down a Ruin Rex. Unfortunately, at his stat line, you really need to clean the board up and have an attack on turn 5 to do anything. But
Yeah.
I just love the concept, and one of my favorite things is drawing cards, even if it's not accomplishing anything. I
Right.
don't know why, but
Yeah, I mean, just cycling through cards is always fun. Yeah, I mean, so realistically, like, what if you draw 3 cards? He's probably worth it, right? at a 3/3, but 3 cannon barrages. Because it's like, yeah, if you only drew one card, well, he guarantees and gets one because you draw a card at the beginning of your turn. So that's your
Yes.
one. If you only drew one, taking a 3/3 on turn 5 most likely won't end up being worth it all the time. But yeah, if you drew 3, 4 cards, yeah, I think he's worth it. I mean, yeah, depending on their
Yep.
board, obviously, if they have like Tarkaz out and like other trolls, yeah, no. But yeah, 4 cannon
Yeah,
barrages is good.
I guess you could look at it as so like if he gets one, he's coming out as a 5/3, but for
Right.
a 5 cost, that's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you remove someone, I guess you get some value out of that. If you have 2 cards, he's coming out as potentially a 7/3, more chance to remove someone.
Yeah.
That's not bad. So 3 cards, which I guess would be, you could just pull Shark, draw a card,
Yeah.
maybe have something to draw before you play him. I don't know. Then he's coming out at 9/3. I think yeah, that's a pretty good stat line.
He's also a
Nine
good
plus
five
three is
drop that
12.
like it works later into the game pretty well too. Because if you can play
That's true.
something like that will draw you and you have max mana, it's like okay, well now he's actually kind of important. He's not like just dead later.
That's true. Yeah.
It's okay.
So I think he's decent. You definitely have to, he might. It's like the scenario where you can play him
Yeah,
kind of really depends on the value you get. So I feel
yeah,
like he can
agreed.
make or break at turn 5 or 6.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we got a bunch more. We got to go. I could talk about Riptide Rex or sorry, Ruined Rex all day though. I think this card's awesome. So we have the. You know what? I'm actually just realizing, Josh.
What?
This is the first reveal. When they normally do this, they show a card from each region that we're going to get a card from, like they did with Chip and X, right? So I think we're going to get a Freljord champ. Because, oh wait, no, they don't. They didn't show Shadow Isles though.
They
Because I'm
show
thinking
it
they
the
showed
next day.
Shurima and then they showed Shadow Isles the next day. Maybe not, but you know what I'm saying? Because they normally would reveal Chip, and then they would
Yeah.
reveal, like this time they did the Xersai. They revealed Fallen Phaline, and that was Echo's card. So this is just interesting. Like if you look at this for the first reveal, but then yeah, then they showed Viego, and it's like, all right, never mind, my theory's gone. But continuing, Rhymefang Den Mother, who's pretty cool, 6 drop, 5/5. When I'm summoned, summon a Rhymefang pack. Grant it +1/+1 each time you frostbitten enemies. This game for each time you frostbitten enemies this game, and it is a 1 drop with Overwhelm, and it's just a 1/1. So it will be a X+1, where X is how much you've frostbitten. So you'll get a 5/5 body if you've frostbitten 4 times. You'll get 2 5/5s bodies, one with Overwhelm. Seems like a lot of value.
That is a ton of value for a 6 cost, especially I feel like even if you get it to like a 3/3, I still feel like you have like 8/8 worth of value coming off for 6 mana.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, that's like a big body, something with overwhelm. I really like this card. I feel like it might lead to some unorthodox play styles with Frostbite, especially if you're trying to use Rhyme Fang Pack as like some weird finisher.
Yeah.
You might just be like frostbiting in weird scenarios where you wouldn't, which might kind of lead to some weird play. But I really do like this card. I think it definitely has potential just because of the amount of value you're getting on the board just for
Yeah.
6 mana.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Aldous makes good points too. Just spreading stats like this is always pretty good in games too. You know, you're not putting everything in one unit, so you don't have to just have one unit get smacked by a vengeance or something like that. So if you get like 2/5/5s, it's a ton. Obviously, 2/5/5s is great for 6 mana. But yeah, it does make like obviously probably with Ash you probably want it. I mean, Overwhelm will add a little bit of a finishing power to the deck. But I think it can also make just other like Frostbite strategies that decks that are just kind of running like I want to run Brittle Steel and Icevale Archer, and then maybe like Three Sisters or something like that. Yeah, I'd probably run 2 of these in that deck, even if it's like you said, even if it's just a 4/4 or 3/3. Pretty good.
Ton of value.
Yeah. Interesting card. So the next one's another interesting card. It's the what is this? The Thrumming Swarm. It's like this giant beetle
Yeah.
thing. I can't wait to see the full art for this one because I haven't actually seen it yet. But it is on the site if you want to check it out. It is a 8/4/7 drop with Overwhelm. When I'm summoned, create a copy of me in hand if you've leveled a champion this game. Reminds me a little bit of Grandfather Remuel. Shout out to your brother Jordan because that's his favorite character. It's got the same stats, right? It's the 8/4 with Overwhelm. It doesn't have
A
spell
little bit
shield,
more
obviously.
finishing power though.
But yeah, but it comes out on turn 7, which is nice, instead of turn 8. So it comes out a little earlier with good finishing power with 8 attack on Overwhelm. And, if you've leveled a champ, you get a second shot at it. So it can't just get answered. Good hand value. It's kind of an interesting card. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you level your champ, so you just have a finisher that if it fails, it fuels itself. So
Yeah, right.
if you're in an okay spot and you play this turn 7, you summon another one. You could summon another one turn 8. You could summon another one turn 9, and now you have two Thrumming Swarms coming at. So it's like
Yeah.
if they're trying to slow down the game, you could kind of speed up to a finisher with the Thrumming Swarm. If you fail turn 7,
Yeah.
you could have another chance turn 9. Um, I think this is really interesting. I don't know where it fits, but it is pretty fun. It is a pretty interesting finisher, just having a bunch of thrumming swarms coming at you
It's a weird.
constantly.
It's like they've pushed this like champion level up mechanic in Shurima, and we haven't really seen it have any success yet. Like the allegiance effect and just leveling champions in general. There's the guy who heals your board when you have a level champ who's seen like a little bit of play, and Mana Shurima has kind of fallen a little flat. So it's definitely something that you can look at down the line. Now, when I look at Akshan as like a new champ, I'm like, right, he doesn't seem like the easiest champ to level, so I don't think he really helps in that sense a ton. Um, but maybe there's something there that people are missing. I'm shocked we don't have Mikey on for this episode here because we have three dragons plus a dragon support card to go over, Josh. I'm going to combine the first two together. So the first two are from Demacia. We have the Ruined Dragon Guard, which is awesome. It's the 2-drop 3/2 with Challenger from Demacia. Now he is a 3-drop. I'm sorry, he was a 2-drop before. Now he's a 3-drop 2/4. When an ally with Fury kills a unit, grant it an additional +1/+1, so it double charges your dragons. The 6-drop is Kadrigan, who was the giant dragon who gave every other dragons +2/+2 in Demacia. Now he's ruined, and he is a 6-drop 6/6 with Fury, of course, because he's a dragon. And on play, you grant an allied champion or an allied dragon the challenger keyword. What are your thoughts on those two, Josh?
I mean, the art is super cool. I just like staring at them. The Dragon Guard is just like so cool to look at. Just him just peering over the
Incredible.
dragon's head. Yeah, he looks epic. I really like the Dragon Guard. I feel like it's one of those cards that people are going to get baited into
Yeah.
if they're just playing a bunch of dragons, and it's a little too slow. Um, it does kind of fit in with their curve a little bit. So like if you're getting it's him turn 3, turn 4. There's one dragon, but turn 5, the Screeching Dragon,
Yeah.
and then you could easily get a kill there. So he bumps up to the like a 6, 7, or whatever health he takes. But
Yeah, right.
it does bump him up there. But I just feel like that's a little bit too slow to actually be competitive. But I do like that. You could speed run your dragons with Fury. It's
Yep.
pretty cool. And then Kadrigan, he's pretty cool. I don't know how like Challenger only goes so far.
Yeah, and they did just buff Shyvana's champ spell for 2 mana now to give Grand Challenger. So it does seem like there's probably just better ways to do what he's doing, but if you really want that ability, you can get it in and you're in a dragon deck already. He might be an okay option.
Made for like Renekton or something. They're trying to
Yeah,
push some scout Renekton
that's it,
with
baby.
Kadrigan.
Yeah, dude.
That's what,
Field promotion, Kadrigan, Renekton, that's the move. Yeah, I'm with you on the Dragon Guard, though. I do think he at first looks slow. The more I look at him, the more I like him, I think. Obviously, art-wise, obnoxious, but I don't know. He does fit really well into their curve, right? They don't really run that many. Like, there's no good 3-drop dragon. There is no 3-drop dragon, but there's also no just great card that fits into that 3-drop slot for them. A lot of times they save that mana so they can have a combat trick, which makes sense. But yeah, turn 2, they have a decent amount of options, and now that we have 3 new dragons, the Egghead actually is like pretty intriguing because he creates dragons, so he's actually kind of cool at 2 now. And of
that is pretty.
course, we have Dragon Chow as well, which is pretty solid. You know, that card was kind of a laughed at a little bit, but it's actually a pretty good card for dragons. So I'm intrigued. I mean, yeah, if you get a kill off Dragon Chow like on your thing, and you can get +2/+2 before you even attack with your dragon, like even if it's Shyvana, I mean Shyvana comes out and you just kill the dragon, you get +2/+2 because you have this thing out. I don't know. He fits in the curve nicely. He is a 2/4, which isn't the best stats, but it's also like not the worst. Helps against aggro.
Yeah, that's Yeah, his 4 health definitely does help him at least.
Yeah.
He can block, so it's you don't feel terrible. It's like with all the other cards like this,
Yeah.
they usually we haven't really seen any with more than like 3 health. So at
Yeah.
least this guy could at least take a hit. He might be able to trade with he could trade with 1-2 cost cards. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the stat line might help him at least see some play.
Yeah. Yeah, realistically, you're not going to live the dream of like, oh, my dragons are freaking disgusting. But yeah, like him into Shyvana and him into the one that you mentioned, the Screeching Dragon, they both of those stand out to me as like, wow, that's really good actually. If you can get a kill off with Shyvana into like your Chow or anything else that you're attacking, or just since that Screeching has Challenger, you can probably guarantee a kill that turn. It's pretty good. The other two are really freaking interesting though, so we gotta jump into
I
the.
love these cards.
So
These
Shadow
cards
Isles gets dragons.
I feel like are calling to me. I don't know why. I just love their text.
Yep.
So the first one, 2-drop, the crawling viper worm. He has fury. On play, I strike an ally or deal 3 to your nexus. It's like he's a 2-drop, can come out as possibly a 4/3 if you're killing yeah, if you're killing anything. So 1-drop prey, 1-drop chow. You come out and you strike that. You're coming out as a 4/3 on turn 2. Pretty insane to me.
That's just going to get bigger.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I really like this one. The deal 3 to your Nexus thing is super interesting because it goes with Viego, which we'll get to in a second. But um, yeah, it's just kind of like an interesting card in general. He's just a 2-drop dragon is not something I thought we'd see for a little bit, but we do have a 2-drop dragon in the game now. He's a little baby
Yeah,
dragon.
he is. He's a little viper worm. He's crawling.
He
He doesn't
is.
have wings yet.
You want to read the next one? The next one's my jam, dude.
Yeah. The Camavorn Dragon, Fearsome and Fury. He's a 4-drop. When you play, I strike an ally or deal 3 to your Nexus. When I slay a unit, drain 1 from the enemy Nexus, and he's a 4/3. This guy has a ton going on for him. I think he is an awesome value for 4-drop. If you come out and kill any little runt there, any spider, anything that you have going on, he
Yeah.
comes out as a 5/4, great stat line for 4. He has fearsome, he has fury, and he's draining. So he's like literally healing. Like the amount of value that he gets is crazy.
Yeah. I love this one. I love the Neverglade collectors and Prankster. Like the chip burn that Shadow Isles has is so much fun, but especially when it's draining because it's bringing your life back a little bit as well. It's like a 2-point swing every time you just steal 1 health because you're gaining 1. It's incredible. He's awesome. I mean, Fearsome's really solid on him as well. And like you said, he's a 4/3, but he's gonna come into play and kill one of your chumps hopefully, and instead of dealing 3 to your Nexus, and then you'll get to instantly be a 5/4 as well as drain 1 on play, just for killing like a spider or a prey. I love them. I love both these
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah, these two, I was just staring at them and I was like, wow. I was just trying to think of what I could build just because I, I saw them and they're like, these are incredible. It's like they have a decent amount of risk. If you can build your deck to avoid that risk, they provide a ton of value
Yeah.
and, or I should say mitigate that risk.
Yeah.
And I love the kind of give and take feel. I like you give a little bit to make these huge on curve monsters.
It's a really good point,
And
actually,
I want to
because
build them.
it's like, Shadow Isles has always used its units as its other resource other than mana really well. Kind of like certain regions use like their hand as resources, like discard aggro and things like that. But Shadow Isles has always used units as something to sacrifice to get bigger units or to get better, more powerful effects. And like that pairs really well with the dragon archetype because they want to kill their own stuff sometimes anyway, and they want to get later into the game. And it's just a really cool. I'm really excited to see where that the Shadow Isles dragon deck goes because right now dragon. I like that you have dragons in a third region. It opens up some things. You don't. Right now it's just pretty much you're playing Demacia and you're playing Targon if you want to play a dragon deck, right? Just dragons. Now you can do it elsewhere. So I really like that they're adding it. That's why I want to see like other things like that.
I really like that they're unique dragons as well. It's not like they
Mm-hmm.
just threw dragons to the Shadow Isle. It's like, oh
Right.
no, so they are dragons, but they could also function on their own in another archetype as well, I feel.
Absolutely.
And I like that. gives you a bunch of building space instead of just feeling stuck to Demacia.
Exactly. All right, the moment everyone's been waiting for. We got some abs to talk about. We got Viego here. 5-drop Fearsome. He is the Ruined King. He's a 5/4 from Shadow Isles. Each round, the first time an ally dies, I summon an Encroaching Mist. He levels up when I've seen allies with 20 plus total power die. When he levels, he just gets a flat +1/+1. But each round, the first time a unit dies, summon an Encroaching Mist, so same ability there. But at the round start, steal the strongest enemy this round. If it's a champion, kill it instead. So you can't steal opposing champions. They kind of have done this with NAB and things. You can't steal champion cards ever. But he will just kill it instead if it's the strongest, or if it's a unit, he gets to literally steal it, which is the possession effect. That's the 5-mana slow spell in Shadow Isles. It's another form of that, which is great because we don't have much of that in the game, and you can't really finish talking about Viego until you talk about what the hell is an Encroaching Mist. The Encroaching Mist is a 1-drop 1/1 ephemeral unit who is, when summoned, grant all allied Viegos and other Encroaching Mist everywhere +1/+1. So he is going to grow every turn, level up eventually, and start stealing units. There's a lot to digest for this one, Josh.
Yeah, he has so much going on. Thank goodness he doesn't start growing until turn 5. Otherwise, I feel like he'd be a little ridiculous.
But wait, we gotta talk about the 3-drop.
Yes, so the 3-drop that lets him start to grow, the Camivoran Soldier. When I'm summoned, to summon an Encroaching Mist.
Yep. And it grants Viegos everywhere, so he will just get bigger. So he might just come out a little bit bigger. And it's not like Shadow Isles has ways to copy a bunch of units, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, he definitely gives, just reading the text, gives the feel of, he's just kind of coming and the mist is just kind of starting to overtake things.
Yeah.
And I do like that the text kind of gives the feeling of what he's actually doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say he's super interesting, and it's like, I wanted to talk about, I think there's 2 gut reactions. One were like, this is insanely cool, and one camp of people were like, I think he's way too slow. What are your thoughts on the slowness?
So because coming out at 5, because his level up, he needs allies with 1E plus total power to die,
And he has to see
and
that
then
too.
yeah, he needs to see that, and then his Encroaching Mist will take. So like if he comes out turn 5, something dies, then it comes out and it's a 2/2. Turn 6, something dies, it's a 3/3. So on turn 7 when he's attacking again, so it's kind of weird because it's like you got to kill something before
Yeah.
to get the Encroaching Mist to even have a value.
For both
so
offense and defense, yeah. Like you need something to die before they attack and before you attack to be able to use your Encroaching Mist in combat, and it's really valuable on both. It's a great blocker. It's an ephemeral. It's going to die anyway, and it's a great attacker because again, it's going to die. And you can just send it out.
Yeah, so he is a little slow. The one thing that's good is that Shadow Isles is great at stalling out games.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
yeah,
true.
I could see where that comes in. So maybe, the dream of building up a huge Encroaching Mist or just killing champions left and right will be very far and in between. But I feel like, if you have Viego come down, if you're building maybe, say, with Reputation, or if we get more dragons that are, more risk reward killing things, and they
Right.
get even bigger. So you're just leading these big ginormous followers.
Yeah.
And he levels up pretty quickly. Then you could be finishing by turn 8, which we know is a great spot for decks.
Yeah.
Usually all the best, mid-range decks finish turn 8, and if you can get Viego to level up before then, if you get Viego to finish before then he'll be in a good spot.
Yeah. I mean, if he comes down, he definitely can apply pressure pretty well, I think, depending on if you've seen enough mist, making if you're really going to go into that route. Or, like if you do want to stall out a little bit longer, Shadow Isles can always do that, stall out a bit, start stealing things. And by that point, when you're stealing things, it's going to be really hard for your opponent to come back if they're a unit-based deck because they're going to be using your own units against them, which is pretty brutal. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's solid. I mean, I really like the curve of like So we can jump back in, but the Camavorian Soldier is the 3-cost soldier who's a 3/3 who's going to summon the Encroaching Mist. If you play like that into a Chronicler of Ruin, so you get another Encroaching
Yeah.
Mist and then Viego, that's pretty cool. I mean, like, you get decent amount of value there. You're getting two mists, so the mists are already getting larger, but Viego's coming down at +2/+2 already, which is great. I don't know if we're going to get any more mist support. I think it's a pretty dangerous line to walk if they print
Yeah.
another card that puts out a mist. But I do think he's pretty solid as is. I don't think he's too slow because I think he's actually just he might be too slow if you're just looking at like, well, I need to level him, get the round start going, start stealing everything. If that's your whole game plan, he might be a little too slow. He's going to be hard to level, but I don't think he needs to level every game to be a threat. I think he can be a big, beefy body in Shadow Isles, which is always terrifying. They have some good cards for those type of units.
Yes, they do.
We'd have to read his champ spell. His champ spell is Despair. It costs 4 mana. It's a slow spell. It's pick a unit to strike your Nexus, then kill it. Interesting.
Yeah. I for some reason my mind
Sure.
went to oh no. Oh yeah. So my mind went to if you strike a unit or your Nexus with a unit that has lifesteal,
Okay,
does
yeah.
not lose health.
That's actually hilarious.
I don't think that's how it's going to be used at all, but
I was thinking, I just looked at like, does Nexus Strike apply to your own Nexus? But it does say enemy Nexus.
yeah.
Like, my henchman's just going to smack my own Nexus, make
Yeah,
itself
so
and die.
yeah.
No.
So I don't know how to feel about this card. It's another like risk reward, and it's 4. So it's like a pretty heavy cost just to get an encroaching mist on the board. So why are you I guess if you're sacrificing a spider into the Nexus to get a 5/5 encroaching mist for 4 mana,
Yeah, right.
I guess that is worth it.
Like, that's like the
I
obvious look into it. It's like, okay, if you're killing something extremely small to buff your Viego who's on the board, to then also buff your encroaching mists that are coming out, yeah, I could see it. It costs 4 mana, sure. But is there going to be something else that gets printed alongside of him? I mean, we didn't see a. I think we saw more Targon cards than we saw Shadow Isles cards, but also we're getting 3 or at least I'm assuming 3. I keep saying 3 champions because I'm expecting since there's 7 days more, but we're
yeah.
getting multiple champions here, and we've really only seen Viego's 1 card, his spells another, the soldiers another, and then 2 dragons. So we haven't seen a whole lot. So if we do get anything else that is like synergizing with striking your own Nexus, this card would start to make more sense. But right now, I think the only thing I can really think of, like you said, is just like, yeah, kill a spider to buff everything.
Yeah.
Or kill a
Um,
prey, I guess, is the best, right? A 0 mana or 0 attack
yeah.
unit.
What sucks is that only gives Viego like 1 towards his level up condition.
Yeah, right. It's not even. Right. If you want to actually just do this to help level up Viego, you need to do
You're
a
not gonna
bigger
throw
unit.
You're not gonna just waste a bigger unit.
Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, you might in some cases where it's going to be like, okay, it's going to level Viego. My next round start, I'm going to steal their one thing with Overwhelm that's going to kill me anyway. Yeah, there could be some cases, but it is very like it's a fringy type card. I can't imagine unless more cards get printed that they would actually people would run Despair itself. Maybe play it in weird scenarios when you have 2 Viegos out.
Yeah, Viego is in like being 5 mana and then his spell being so high.
Yeah.
I am confused as to like where to build. It's like it's like I want to build around him, but it
hmm
seems like very hard to do so in a timely manner, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like obviously there's a decent dragon pairing because they're showing some of that right when units are dying from the Camavorian, you're getting some health back, which is good. Like there's some stuff there that's a little bit synergistic, but yeah, he does seem like he could kind of fit in multiple. He just fits well into Shadow Isles in general. So it's like, all right, yeah, I mean, we got to figure out where else he can go. I don't think he's. I mean, both of these champs, definitely the second one, Akshan, aren't really locked in to anything, too tight. I know dragons is what
Spectral,
Mikey wants to do. I'm sure he's in chat
of
screaming
course.
dragons.
Of course. Spectral Matron has a pretty good synergy with him, right? Because like, so say you are, so I keep going to Noxus just because of reputation, and I'm just thinking if you Spectral Matron, the bringer of ruin, Atacon, is that what his name is?
Mm-hmm.
And he's coming out, and he's a 12 attack
Yeah,
with
he'll
10
just
power.
die.
You level up Viego on turn 8, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could use the onlooker or the island, whatever it is, not the onlooker, the oblivious islander, and get him out even earlier. Put your spec
Yeah,
formation
so
low. Yeah,
I mean it's like a very high rolly combo,
yeah.
but my immediate thought was to go. It's because of his 5 attack was immediately to go to reputation, and I'm thinking about it. It was like with Matron and then Atacon, and then people already building the deck around there. It kind of seems legit. Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's like
bringer
if
of ruin goes very well with the ruin king as well. It's a good pun. That's
that's
solid stuff.
very
Yeah,
true.
and
I mean,
Yank.
if you don't finish with the bringer of ruin, it's like you're finishing with Viego there.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You probably should win once the ruin attacks. Yang Zera makes a good point too. Yeah, Miss Wraiths do level him up pretty easily, and yeah, that kind of goes along with
true.
the Shadow Isles. He just fits very well into their region. He can just pair with a lot of good stuff that they already have. And yeah, Miss Wraiths is great. I mean, yeah, they're gonna be big and they're gonna attack and they're gonna have a ton of power. You know, if you get a couple of them out, they're each gonna have 5. You only need a couple to die. Yeah, and you can get ephemeral ones pretty easily because you can just Fading Memories 1 for 2 and it makes your whole board bigger. Yeah, that miss rates could be real solid. I mean, speaking to
Kind of
my
weird because
heart
missed
with that.
rates. Missed rates are usually like a very fast-paced deck. So
Yeah, that's like, yeah, you have the Encroaching Mist and then the Mist Wraiths just both getting larger. And then, like, that's like definitely one of the decks that's trying to use Viego as like a quick threat. You're not waiting to turn 10, level him up, play that long game. You're just like, all right, Viego's coming out. He's pretty thick. Let's just go, 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 and just smack, level him up, and then just finish the game before 10. All right, this next one's nuts. He's pretty crazy. So I'll read him, and it's going to be a couple seconds here of reading for the podcast listeners.
luck.
Enjoy this voice. Yeah, yeah. Pull him up and read him if you haven't yet before you
Get
just
a
listen.
paper and pencil.
Yes,
Be
bust
ready
out
to
your
take notes.
calculator. Yeah. Yeah, this is rough. All right, so he's a 2-drop 2/2 with quick attack. He's from Shurima. His name is Akshan. He is when summoned or when I strike, summon a Warlord's Palace or advance it 1 round. So that's if you already have it out. Level up when Warlord's Palace finishes its countdown. Warlord's Palace is a 1-cost landmark that, like we said, will get summoned for free. It is not main deckable. It doesn't have the token, so it only comes from Akshan. It has a countdown of 8. It is create a relic of power in hand, and when you target allies, advance me 1. So in the video, they were showing the Reforge kit from Riven, targeting allies. You can do this with gems as well. You can do it with the Lucky Finds, all that type of stuff. Whenever you're targeting your own allies, you'll advance this by 1, or whenever Akshan strikes as well, you'll advance it, and you'll create a Relic of Power in hand. The Relic of Power is a focus speed 0-cost spell that is fleeting, so you have to use it the turn that the Warlord's Palace goes up. It's pick 1. You can predict, then draw a card. You could summon a Sandstone Charger. That's a 5/2 ephemeral unit. Or you could grant all allies in play +1 attack, +0 health, which is kind of interesting. But if you don't remember, when Akshan has this Warlord's Palace flipped, he levels up. Akshan then comes out leveled, and when I'm summoned or level up, or strike, I'm sorry, you summon a Warlord's Horde. So it's a new landmark that also has a countdown of 8, and it's create a Sentinel's Horde in hand, and it also has the same advance condition. So this is the easy part where you start getting confused, is when you look at Warlord's Palace and Warlord's Horde, they function the exact same. They advance by 1 at the end of every turn with countdown, or at the beginning of every turn. They also advance when you target an ally, and they also advance when Akshan strikes. And they give you different random jewels. The Sentinel's Horde is a 0-cost fleeting spell as well, focus speed. But this one creates 3 different things. It creates the Absolver's Resurrection, a Fount of Power, or a Shield of Sentinels, and all 3 of these cards are just bonkers. The Absolver's Resurrection is a focus speed 0-cost spell. Grant all enemies vulnerable, and create in hand a 0-cost copy of the strongest ally that died this game. The Fount of Power is draw 2, and your cards cost 1 less this round. That, of course, is also 0 and focus speed. And the Shield of Sentinels, which is also 0 and focus speed, is grant your champions everywhere spell shield and +2/+2, which is an insane effect. All 3 of those are absolutely bonkers effects. Josh, please talk before my voice box breaks.
Oh man, so that yeah. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know how to judge it. This guy, I have no idea what to even expect, or when I'm thinking of how to build around him, all I think is Tarek, but I don't think that's the way to go. Riven might be, in the video, it was a pretty good way to go. Gems do seem pretty good, but he just has so much going on.
Yes.
Bringing even more landmark madness to Shurima. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, the
I,
countdown stuff's interesting. Like, the advanced stuff that you could actually run to just help this as well is kind of cool.
yeah, I don't, maybe, like, I don't even know, like, his stat, like, he's a 2-drop, 2/2. It seems like really hard for how much is going on with him.
If I'm being perfectly honest, so Ruben was talking about how this guy is like a deck builder's dream, which I do get because it's like, yeah, I could definitely see playing gems with him. I could see playing Riven with him. Shurima has a lot of cool stuff for targeting allies. Demacia even has a decent amount of buffs like that with units on play and also some spells. But I think this might be one of the best champions to actually fit into the all-in champion build of Shurima. So
I My mind did go there for a little bit, yes.
I think he might be because you get you if you're playing Allegiance you get the to draw him and get +2/+2. His level up is interesting where you have to play him. You create the Warlord's Palace. He doesn't have to see it count down. He just needs so if it counts down after he dies, but then you play him again after, he'll still be leveled at that point, which is great.
Sure.
So like getting some good draws on that will help. Putting Spell Shield with the Soothsayer on the Palace and himself will be good for 2 mana. Buffing him that way, obviously he fits in Shurima. He is Shuriman, but there's a lot of good cards that self target and also just debuff your enemies for trading purposes. But 2 mana 2/2 is a little scary. But I mean, the stuff you get from it is pretty nuts. I mean, it's all free too, right? The landmarks cost 1 for the sake of just costing 1 in case they ever get bounced or whatever, or for the purpose of leveling up Malphite or whatever. But everything he gets is free, right? The Relic of Power and the Sentinel's Horde is 0 cost and focus speed, so he gets all these crazy effects for free.
Yeah.
He's cheap.
He does, and so it says it's interesting because it says when you target allies. So like, that's not just spells.
Yeah.
That's it's like this is just it's a bad example, but if you're in Noxus and you target someone with the the 2-drop that does the damage and deals damage to the Nexus, right?
Oh yeah, the Demolitionist. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the demolition that still counts.
Yeah, like Chronicler of Ruin. Like, yeah, I think some of those weird ones should
The
count.
the Fortune Croaker.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're
Um,
targeting at that point too.
Yeah, so it's like it is definitely like there is a ton of possibilities with where this can go. I'm sure with how much is going on with him and how ridiculous his relics are that
Yeah.
he gets, I feel like there is going to be some viable deck or at some point something that is broken with him or that he breaks. There's just so much going on and there's so much synergy in so many random places that
Yeah.
it's just hard to judge because how much is going on.
Yeah, I mean he's got. Like, I mean, I had to read how many cards just to get, and I didn't even read his champ spell, dude. Normally I'll include the champ spell when I read it. I just read what he creates, and the flexibility of what he creates is insane. I mean, just the Relic of Power. If you look at that, predict and draw, which is that new whatchamacallit card in itself. New P and Z card that predicts and draw. Summon a Sandstone Charger. Sure, fits in with the Reputation package, right? You get the extra 5 attack unit, which you're already seeing the Treasure Hunter starting to see some play. Grant allies +1. If you have a board, it's worth it. But if not, yeah, predict and draw or get a 5-drop. And then, the Horde is where things get really spicy. So you need to, like, work through this twice. And I don't know how hard that's actually going to be for targeting your own allies. I don't know if we're going to get more Shurima cards here that can do that. But if not, it does seem like Gems is really, really a solid way to go about it. But I don't know. Something about him did make me want to play Mono Shurima for the first time. I mean, other than like the Buried Sun Disc, like that deck, sure, you run the Allegiance unit because you're already playing all that. But I never really even saw the the +2/+2 champion come into play in a meaningful way, right? Nasus, it's pretty much already built on. Nasus is going to be ridiculous. Azir is going to do whatever, and it helps Renekton. But that's about it. But for a 2-drop to go to a 2/4 with quick attack, or level to 5/5 with quick attack, that's really important. You can play him for 2, so you can allegiance and still play him cheap and do other things. It's good. I think that's the most interesting. But he is. I mean, he definitely gets your mind spinning. Let's read his grappling hook. So if you're a fan of League of Legends, you would have saw the video today of him in action, and his league kit looks insane. That's for a different podcast. But Grappling Hook is a spell that's coming, and it's also his champion spell. It's a 3-cost slow spell. An ally that you've targeted this round strikes an enemy. This is a really, really solid champ spell. I think it is.
I think so. Usually, I mean, if you're targeting the ally, I mentioned some that, you're losing health. But if you're targeting, usually your mind goes to like, oh, what buffs can I give that person?
Yeah.
So if you are buffing them, then it's like you're most likely getting a very good, it's not even a trait, it's just a good strike. If they have a decent amount of attack.
Yeah.
You can just clear an enemy you don't want there, you know? It gives you reach. It is slow, which kind of sucks, so you can't use it in combat. But it kind of makes sense with, they're a buffed unit and they're just going to strike something real quick. I do like it, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty solid. It's kind of reminds me of the Reputation 4-cost card that you just get to strike bloody business. You get to just strike them. If you're playing into the theme of Reputation, having 5 attack units, or if you're playing into this theme of having targeted your allies, you get to strike. Obviously, that one's fast speed, has a lot more flexibility, but this one only costs 3 mana, and it's in Shurima, so it's interesting, at the very least. And tying it all back together, I mean, you go back and you look at the Thrumming Swarm. If you leveled a champion, you get a second copy of it. It's a 7-drop with 8/4 with Overwhelm. I mean, it's actually not a bad card for an Akshan deck. I'm kind of like intrigued by it because you have these weird things like the Absolver's Resurrection, which is grant all enemies vulnerable, which is really solid, and create a 0-cost copy of the strongest ally that died in your hand. That card's really good because the Swarm's probably your strongest ally. It's 0 cost. It would create another copy of itself. It has Overwhelm. It's like that card really just made me think of the new top end unit to finish something off. I think we're getting more Shurima cards though, because we literally got Akshan and Grappling Hook and Swarm. There's no way we're only getting 3 Shurima cards.
Akshan supports himself.
Yeah, he doesn't need any other cards. I feel like we got to get some other self-target stuff. If there's a couple more units that do some self-targeting, you have Sivir, you have the Profiteer, you have things like that. But I think we need a couple more, and I'm like super intrigued by this deck.
You play a Crawling Viper Worm. Does his striking an ally count as targeting?
Yeah, it should. Yeah.
That's so funny.
It should. See, that's the weird part about like the Soothsayer. You're not targeting anything. You're just giving everything spell shield. So it's like, it's weird that some of the cards like that won't, but the cards that will actually target. And you made a good point. Like, Fortune Croaker is actually a really good card. So if he ever ends up in Bilge, it's like, oh, that's a cheeky way to get a level up or get a advancement on the countdown, and also get a draw card. So
yeah. There's definitely even targeting things that I can't even think of right now that could definitely maybe exploit Akshan's level up condition.
Yeah.
And maybe Warlord's Palace can level up very, very quickly, because it's like you play Akshan on turn 2, you're probably not getting, unless you saved 1 mana and you have like something, I guess a gem. You could possibly have a gem.
Yeah.
No, then you wouldn't have been able to save a mana. But on turn 2, if you play him, you're probably not targeting anything just yet.
Yeah.
So the Warlord's Palace comes down. Next turn, it's 7, and then maybe there might be a possibility turn 4 or 5 that you're breaking the Warlord's Palace.
Yeah, it would be really cool if it says when you target allies, you get to advance. If like it counted as an ally itself as well. So when you play like something that advances it, if it targeted it itself, that'd be cool. I don't think it will. But that'd be pretty neat. Like the 2-drop clock guy, he'd be pretty good. Because then he would advance by 3 for 2 mana.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
and we
true.
got to remember every time Akshan attacks or every time he strikes, he's going to
Right.
reduce the countdown. So he's not going to strike on defense very often. He's got 2 health, but he should be able to attack with quick attack and strike occasionally. He's really good with Shape Stone too. We didn't mention that. I mean, he summons that himself, so you definitely are going to run Shape Stone for the plus.
Wait, did you say he summons Shapestone?
No, I'd say he's really good with Shape Stone. Just
Oh,
kidding.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. I
Because he
was I was
summons the
confused.
landmark, so you'll instantly be able to play Shape Stone active, which is +3/+1 for 1 mana. So it's a huge spell for a quick attack unit.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, especially you enable the Shapestone right away, like on turn two. It's just enabled. If you save the mana, you instantly have it. Um,
yep,
yeah, so
yeah, agreed.
that is
So
a good combo.
I'm really excited to build with both of these. So we have a lot of cards to that are still to come. I would imagine. I mean, we have 7 more days of reveal season, so I think we have a lot more cards coming. Um, Next week, we're going to be joined by Mr. Swim. So that's going to be a blast. So we'll be joined. I think it's going to be Tuesday around 4 p.m. EST. So it's going to be a little early for us. Working around scheduling for me, Josh, and Swim. So it's going to be a little bit rough as far as getting the time exact. But we're going to try to get going by 4, and we'll be talking and celebrating all about this new release. We'll have giveaways going next week for sure because we have guaranteeing there's going to be an event pass of some kind and some type of. I mean, we've already seen boards and card backs in the trailers. There's a Sentinel of Light board. There's a Ruined card back. It's all coming. We've seen a Shyvana skin too. Ruined Shyvana. They spoiled
Yes,
that
we
a little
did.
bit. So yeah, I think.
Oh, will we get Unbinded Thresh into here?
Oh, dude, Hot Boy Thresh.
Or Unruined Thresh, Unbind? I can't remember what it is. But
Hot Boy
but yeah, he
Thresh.
is has a human face, or he was allowed to take a human form. So I think it said something like he shaped his face into something that he remembered himself being,
Love
and then he
it.
just gave himself like 16 abs. And so
I mean, might as well. While I'm here, I might as well just throw some freaking abs on me. My gosh. Yeah, so we'll probably, you guys can probably catch us on next week, like I said, right here live on Twitch with Swim. Also, everywhere you get your podcast, including YouTube. For the next couple days, I'll be uploading a couple YouTube videos reacting to the new cards. I didn't react to these two yet because we're going to cover that all on this podcast, but I'll be reacting to any new ones we get before the next episode. By the next episode, we should have pretty much every card out at that point, and we will be, showing them off and just talking about them with Swim, and we'll be diving in and just seeing how it goes. Just probably start theory crafting with Swim. I mean, Swim's just going to be, he's going to have some insane ideas and he's going to blow our mind like he did last time. So,
and who knows, we might get a new champion from now until then. So
yeah.
who knows what the rest of reveal season is going to be like,
Yep.
or spoiler season 2.0, I guess. I don't
2.0.
know.
I can't believe we're even here right now, to be honest. I can't believe we have 2 new champs coming, let alone even more coming. It's just kind of bonkers. Yeah, so that's episode 70. So catch us next week for 71. Josh, any final words?
My mind is blown.
Yeah, you're still just recovering from reading all of Akshan's cards.
Hopefully, Akshan can show as much action as he presents on the board. So
That was freaking
terrible.
amazing.
It's terrible.
I was gonna go with amazing, yeah. Until next time, guys. We'll catch you later.